So you want to make a plaster formicarium? Well, I just got the tutorial for you. Also, before this video begins, I just want to say that I'm going to be using Ant Invasion's and also Ants Scandinavia's technique on how to make a plaster formicarium or any kind of formicarium. So I'll leave a link down in the description below to their channels and also a link to their tutorials as well. So the materials are pretty simple, but the stuff that I bought were Plaster of Paris, which you can get at your local hardware store, and a Felli flip tight storage container. The other materials that you will need are a bowl for placing your powdery Plaster of Paris, a straw, and sand or gravel. So the first step that I would do would be place some Plaster of Paris into a bowl, and I would recommend doing this outside because the powder can get into the air and damage your lungs if inhaled. Once you have placed a reasonable amount of plaster in the bowl, go to a sink or a hose outside and place the plaster under the water. Make sure that you keep the water at a little trickle and not full-on blasting water everywhere. What you are looking for is a little liquidy but thick substance. I didn't actually water my Plaster of Paris enough, so it was more on the thick side instead of liquidy. Once you have your desired amount of plaster, pour a small layer at the bottom of your container. Next, you will need some sand or gravel. Now, I would recommend putting your sand or gravel in a container just so that it would have enough space to be contained. You're going to want to water your gravel or sand so that it's mushy and moldable. Once you have watered your sand or gravel, you'll have to mold it into a small clump. This clump will be the size of the chamber for your ants. Place those clumps of sand or gravel on top of the plaster. Since I didn't have enough sand, I used gravel for the other chambers, but keep in mind that the sand is more intact than the gravel. I proceeded to connect all of those chambers with bits of gravel. These small tunnels will help the ants find their way to the other chambers. Also make sure that there is an opening in the middle so that the plaster will be able to connect with the bottom layer. Once you have finished laying out the nest, use a straw, pencil, or even tubing and place it on top of one of those chambers. This will connect the outworld to the nest. Make sure that your straw, pencil, or tubing is in a firm position so that it wouldn't move while you put in the rest of the plaster. Once you have finished all of those steps, once again, get a thick but liquidy plaster substance. Pour it into the container so that it will overlap the chambers. If you see some plaster overlapping into the chambers, that's okay, we can fix that after a few days. Once 1 to 2 days have passed, you are ready to take out the tubing, pencil, or straw from the container. Also, don't put in any decorations in yet. I accidentally did that because I thought it was done, but I realized that I still had to take out the gravel and sand. As you can see, the straw came out easily, and that was probably because I added too much water. Next, you would have to go to a sink, and this is only if you want to take out the entire formicarium from the container, because that is what I'm going to do. You have the choice of drilling a hole into the side of the container so that you would be able to wash out all of the sand or gravel, but I'm deciding to take out the entire formicarium from the container and pick out the sand and gravel myself. I find it easier to take out the entire Formicarium from the container, and picking all of it out by hand is easier than washing it out through a small hole. So I water the Formicarium for about 1 minute, and then I turn it upside down and repeatedly hit it on top of a hand towel. And slowly but surely, the Formicarium should slide out of the container. And what I found was that the decorations that I put shielded the plaster from smearing on the hand towel. I then used a Q-tip to brush off all of the loose sand/gravel. I then used a toothpick to take off all of the intact sand/gravel. I continued to take off the sand or gravel from the bottom layer of the container with a toothpick and a Q-tip. Once you have finished taking off all of the sand or gravel, slowly put it back into the container. And now you're pretty much done. You can continue by putting on decorations, or you can just leave it as it is. I added in a mixture of sand and topsoil just to make it more colorful. I added in a mixture of sand and topsoil for the substrate, and a pebble and 2 small twigs for the decorations. And there you go. This has been a tutorial on how to make a plaster Formicarium, and I hope that it was helpful. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos. My name is Ants, another fellow ant YouTuber, and I'm signing off once again.